What it up, tribe? What's good with y'all, man? Today we got a nice lineup. Let's go on and get into that video, man.
Okay, y'all. Usually I don't post videos like this, but I need to know what's going on here with all the weird activities going on in this world thus far. So this picture was sent to me by one of my followers who lives in Richmond, Virginia. Now, his niece was outside playing on her iPad, her brand new iPad, okay? She's young. Now, as she's playing outside on the iPad, she looks up and she sees this right here, which looks like a human being with his arms up like Jesus, and it looks like fire or something, or laser beams are shooting out of its eye, and it looks like this being is flying. Now, that night in Richmond, Virginia, the sky was like this. It was dark and, dreary.
I have a legit question. Is my 3-year-old psychic, or is he just a master manifester? Because what is going on right now? If you've been waiting for an update on my son's imaginary friend, Allie from Omaha, this is the update, so just lock in because there's a lot to process right now, and I'm just going to try to break it down as clearly as I possibly can. But let's do a quick little recap, shall we? I had said I'm about 80% sure, 80 to 90% sure that my son's imaginary friend is actually my grandfather's little sister that passed away in a fire when she was 3, okay? And she was born on June 3rd. Remember, we talked about this. My grandfather's dad ended up having another daughter born on June 3rd, and he just decided, we're just going to name them the same name as the one that had passed away. So my grandfather has 2 sisters, same name, born on the same day, right? And then he goes on to give birth, or his wife give birth to my mother on June 3rd. So they all have the same birthday, all right? Remember that? So on July 3rd of this year, I text my best friend, and I'm just telling her about this crazy thing that my toddler said. He said that his imaginary friend, Allie from Omaha, had told him that I was going to be pregnant later, right? And then in a video a few months later, I told you guys about it.
He says things like, "Hey mama, Allie says that you're going to be pregnant later." I try not to dismiss him right away.
And we all had the audacity to laugh about it in the comments because it was very amusing. Like, that's a wild thing for a toddler to say, especially at 3 years old with his imaginary friend. Well, turns out, later is now. This is an ultrasound of the baby that my son and his imaginary friend predicted I would be pregnant with later. This is currently me. I'm currently pregnant with that baby.
Yo, tribe. If that was you, what would y'all do, man?
Okay. That is not even the craziest part of this story, because why would it be? Why would it be? Here's where it gets a little TMI, but I have the most regular schmegular cycle, track everything because women's health, And for the past 4 years, I have had a flawless record. The math is always mathing. So somewhere in between July 3rd and the day that I actually conceived, something was happening in the background that I had no idea. I was unaware. I did not get that memo. So when I'm calculating things are not adding up, because this should not be a thing. All of a sudden my math is not mathing. So I'm just trying to process all this, and I go to the doctor. She's like, yeah, she confirmed it. There is a baby in there. Congratulations. You're going to be a mama again. And I'm like, wow, that's great. Okay. What day do you think she told me I would be giving birth? Yeah, I'll give you a hint. I've already told you. I'm set to give birth to this baby on June 3rd. Yeah. The things that had to shift in the universe for me to not only be pregnant, but also to be due on that particular day of all the days that I could possibly be due, I'm due on that day. What? And I know that this is just an estimate. Baby can come whenever, right? But what if the baby does come on that day? What if the baby does come on June 3rd? What happens? What is going on?
Yo, tribe. That ain't no coincidence, tribe. Like, I know we live in a society where we think things are coincidence and stuff like that. We don't want to believe this type of stuff, but tribe, that's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence.
Am I about to give birth to my son's imaginary friend? Like, is that what's happening right now?
For my women out there watching, look, how would y'all feel about this? Like, what would y'all do? How would y'all feel? Like, would you feel like your son is some type of special, you know what I mean? Or would you feel like that's some evil? You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's evil though. I feel like, yo, that's good right there.
Yeah.
But let's hope it ain't no evil spirit that she about to manifest in this world though. Let's hope that it's but she said it's her grandfather's sister, so shouldn't be bad.
I need someone to explain. I don't know if anyone can. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going on.
Y'all want to hear about these ghost kids that just tried to pass themselves off as children when I had my kids outside for recess and just tried to have them line up and come inside the school? Okay, so I'm not a teacher. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer at my daughter's school. I pretty much help her teacher with whatever she needs. I'm just a concerned parent. So fast forward, the teacher counted out 14 kids for me to take outside for recess. I'm like, okay, cool. We get outside for the recess. I'm watching all 14 of the kids. I'm looking at them, watching them. Off to the right, there are the first graders, okay? And their teachers are over there watching them. And then on the jungle gym are the third graders. Now, mind you, like I said, we only had 14 kids that I took outside for recess. So I'm watching them. And where they're running, it's like nothing but open field, grass and trees. Now, it's not so many trees where you can't see the kids, right? They're only like, there's a big tree over here, there's a big tree off to the right, and then there's one single big tree that's straight ahead. Now, that one single big tree, I saw the kids over there running, and I was like, what they doing way down there? So I started yelling. I said, hey, get down here where I can, get to you, where I can see you. They weren't listening to me. So fast forward, I go down there, I start walking towards the tree, and then as I'm walking towards the tree that's in the far distance, the kids started running towards me. I guess they didn't want me coming down there. So I walked down there anyway just to make sure ain't no other kids hiding. So I walked down there, looked behind the tree, nobody's down there. So I started walking back, and by that time, it was time for the kids to start lining up anyway. Recess was over. So I'm like, okay, let's line up. All the kids started lining up. And I'm like, you know what, let me count. So I started counting the kids. Now remember, I had 14 kids when I came out there. And all of a sudden, the number is at 19. I said 19. So I was like, I had 14 kids when I came out here. All of a sudden, we had 19. So then I started looking at faces. Because I've been with them 3 weeks now. Like, I've been volunteering for 3 weeks. I know what their face look like now. So I started looking at faces. And I see the last 5 kids do not look familiar to me at all. I'm like, what's your name? Little boy was like, Zachariah. I said, what's your last name? He could not tell me. I said, are you in Miss Wood's class? He said, no. I said, well, why are you in my line, baby? He's like, I just wanted to play. And then the other kids behind him just sitting there like statues, ain't said a word, didn't blink. And the other kids saw them as well. The other kids saw them. Y'all know how sensitive kids can be. And so I said, okay, baby, well, you're not in this line. Go ahead. I'm sorry, but you can't come in with us if you're not here. Find your teacher. They run off to that big tree out there in the far distance. And I, felt worried. Like I said, sometimes they look just as real as, you and I. They look just as real as me. Okay, so because they ran towards that tree again, I felt weird, and I ran down to the tree, and I told one of the teachers that's out there, like, hey, are these kids y'all's? And they weren't behind the tree. Disappeared. Weren't behind the tree. Remember what I said? There's nothing but open field and trees. They ran behind that tree, and I wasn't far behind them. They can't run that fast. Their little legs. They were at least 5 or 6. And when I say I was sprinting down there to get them, y'all, okay, I was sprinting down there. And cousin can run, okay? So get down there, and I start looking. I'm looking around. Nothing.
Yeah, Trav, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yo, I know some of y'all out there, answer me this. Do y'all see stuff like that? Do y'all see apparitions? Because I know some people is born with that gift or develop that gift of being able to see things that other people can't see, like apparitions, angels, demons, stuff like that. Yo, holla at me in the comments if you see that type of stuff.
Y'all want to hear about a time where I worked at this nursing home and I was dancing with my dead resident and didn't know she was dead? And then turned around and I was dancing with my very much alive residents, and then they were interacting with the dead one? Okay, come on. So this particular unit that I was working on is a lockdown unit, and it was memory care. And so there was this woman who used to go around recording and taking pictures of, activities that we did with the residents. And so while she's recording, I'm dancing with the residents. We're making earrings, necklaces, doing other activities as well. And so there's this particular resident that I had to keep an eye on because she'll swing if she feels overstimulated, and she'll also like lash out at anybody. So I had to like really keep an eye on her while I'm also interacting with the other residents. I had just given this woman her peanut butter and her crackers. That was her favorite snack. And so I could see her getting irritated. She picks up her plate and she walks out. We were in there doing the activities for probably a good 40 minutes. And then next thing you know, I thought it was weird that she came in, the same woman who hates people. She says that she hates people all the time. And she didn't even like her kids coming to visit her. She used to tell them all the time, I don't even want y'all here. I don't even know why y'all here. So I thought it was weird that she came back in there where we were doing the activities. And she was just joyously happy, smiling, ear to ear, grinning. And then she sat down and started joining in on making necklaces and earrings. And I was like, okay. Okay. So fast forward, I take my rounds real serious. I take it so serious that I set alarm clocks for it, baby. So I'm like, okay, it's round time. So I started walking around to do my rounds. And when I got to her room, the resident that hate people, I got to her room, I knocked on the door. And that wasn't weird for her to have her door closed because, like I said, she really didn't like people. And so when I knocked on the door, she was like, yes. And I'm just checking on you. And she was like, go away. I'm like, okay, she was just out here happy, but whatever. This is memory care, in the flick of a second, they can just not want to deal with you no more. So then I decided to finish my rounds, and then I was like, I'm going to just come back to her after I finish my rounds. I really wasn't that worried about her because she could walk. So I finished my rounds, came back to her not even 20 minutes later, and I knocked on the door again. But this time I want to have eyes on you because I didn't have eyes on you the first time. And so after I knocked on the door, there was no answer. And so I stood out there for, a few seconds, and I decided to open the door. When I opened the door, I could see her body in the bed, and I was just like, okay, that was fast. She went to sleep that fast, but okay. But I still wanted to see if she was alive or not. And I walked over to the bed and I checked her pulse and she didn't have a pulse. And she also was cold to the touch. And I was just like, if she's cold, how long she been in here? If she's cold like this. So of course, I get my manager, they get the people in there to get her body. So then fast forward a week later, me and my friend are on night shift and we're pretty much setting the tables for the morning time, so that they could have breakfast and whatever. That was part of our duty. So then while we're sitting up there setting up the tables and stuff, me and my friend heard commotion coming from the room of the resident that had just passed away. And so we're, of course, okay, nobody should be in there. Her family members already came and cleared everything out. It's been a week. Nobody else should be in there. So my friend went and she was like, maybe one of the residents wandered into the room. And I was like, right. Because we did have one or two other residents that could walk. And so she walked into the room and she's like, nobody's in here. So then she closed the door back. And when she closed the door back, she's like, I'm about to go around over there right quick to make sure everybody in their rooms are in the bed. And I was like, okay. So next thing you know, I felt like I was being pulled to the room. It felt like I had to be in there. So I went and I opened the room door. And when I opened the room door, I see the resident that passed away. I see her in there. And she's looking around. And she was like, they left it. And I was like, I said, nothing's here. She said, I don't want them to forget about it. I don't want them to leave it. And I was like, there's nothing here. Your family took everything. And so she was like, no, they didn't. And so I'm trying to look around and I started looking around. Maybe they did leave something and I didn't see it. And so there is this little area where something could possibly slide down in the back of it. And so I went over there, looked behind there, and there was a picture of her and her family. And so I was just like, okay. I said, I'll give it to him. She's like, okay, please do. And I was like, you can go now. And I know that a lot of people don't believe opening the windows can help them, but it really does. And so when I told her that she can go now and that she's, able to just go, her family will be fine, and I'll make sure I give them the picture, she pretty much was just like, promise. And I was like, I promise. And she went ahead and she left, and I didn't feel her anymore. I didn't see her anymore. But after that, I was like, okay, I could just leave it with the manager. And the manager could lie and say, oh, I'm going to give it to him. Or they could just have it in their office for like a year or something, and they never give it to her family. So I decided, I was like, oh, I remember her son telling me he owned a business in X, Y, and Z area. So I looked that business up, and I found her son's business, and I mailed it to his business. But something about me, I know I see a lot of my old coworkers and stuff, or even current coworkers, like who really don't believe in this kind of stuff and who tell me all the time, girl, that's a crock of crap. Like, it's not real. I promise you, it's real. They be like, oh, I ain't never seen one before, so how did you see one? I don't know. Maybe you're not the chosen one. I don't know what to tell you, big dog. I really don't know what to tell you. But something I can tell you is, it's real.
It is.
It's real.
Yeah, try that stuff real. Don't play with it. She did the right thing by mailing that to her son, because you don't want to be holding that and she coming back. You don't want that. That's a bad thing. But try that stuff is real. Try that stuff is real. Well, try. That's all I got for today, man. If y'all see stuff like that, let me know in the comments, man. And don't forget to share and like the video and subscribe, man. But yo, y'all already know, man. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.
Cool. I used to want to save the world till I realized saving the world don't do much for a nigga. Cursed out by the folk I done fell out with. I'm trying to fix what's been done to my niggas. Wander down to do shit, but it get you harassed and faded. Outcome be attacked and hated. Balcony assassination. Martin seen it, Malcolm seen it, Hampton seen it too. Damping dreams of camp inside my crew.